Good evening, my lovelies. How are you guys? What is up? It's Tuesday, I think, right? Still Tuesday, 8:45 in the evening. Oh, it's Valentine's Eve. So I just wanted to come on quick while Shan's taking a break. Man, it is crazy trying to keep up with the Squirrel Squad and not overlapping with all of our videos, with all of our lives. Excuse me while I try to get my foot twisted around a thing. Um, yeah, so how are you guys tonight? Is anybody out there? Please, if you're out there, hit that like button if you'd be so kind. I think I'm monetized, you guys. I know I told you that last night, but I still can't believe it. I cannot believe it after an entire year of trying to seal the deal. So please share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Turn on your notification bell to ring. What else? I just want to get right into it. Sandra, hello. How are you doing? Wow. So yeah, Shan is doing these marathon lives. She said she was taking a break and I was like, okay, I guess I can go live tonight because I really wanted to, but I was going to not do it just since she was on, and I don't like having the conflict, like, Divine Justice, aka Mrs. G the Honey Badger, and with Mark Molina. I just try really hard not to go live when other channels that I like to stick with are also live. However, we can all watch replay, right? So, including us content creators, we can watch replay of each other, or it's nice to be in the chat. I was really enjoying being in Shan's chat with her gaming and her playing the tapes of The Bomb. Like, that guy is extremely intelligent. Hey, Ranch Boss, hopping in. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming over. So yeah, I wasn't going to make an announcement when Shan said she was going to go off air for an hour, because I thought, well, what if I can't? What if something happens? You know how things go, right? And I didn't want to be like swooping in on her crowd either, because we do have a lot of the same crowd, but I'm sure not everybody that watches Shan watches me. And I would imagine that not everybody that watches me watches squirrels. So we do try to stick together. One of the things, let me just do my little disclaimer. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of starting a conversation, hoping to open up a discussion, always trying to learn something, and hoping that my videos are educational for others as well. And every single video that I've made to date has been made for YouTube, and it's an entertainment platform. So, my goodness. One of the things I like about being in people's chats is I feel like there's some things that I'll say there that I wouldn't necessarily want to say on my channel. I do still try to be careful and cautious, because I don't want to be putting things in chat on other people's channels that they might not want. So, I was talking about a couple of things in the end of Shan's live that I was going to go ahead and mention here too, since, you know, it's only fair. I don't want to be like dragging her channel down with crazy crapola, unless I'm going to drag my own channel down with it too. So I did get to a yoga class tonight, so I'm feeling all zenned out. And it is very challenging trying to take yoga classes every day and trying to teach yoga classes every day. There's a lot of homework. There's a lot of reading. There's a lot of writing. There's a lot. So, same thing with YouTube. I mean, you could be on YouTube 24/7 and still miss a lot, right? So trying to find that balance so that I can have the best of both worlds is sort of what I'm after. And I am still planning on doing some more yoga with my yoga true crime channel. So if that interests you, I'm just trying to diversify, right? So one of the things I was mentioning in Shan's chat, let's just get right to it, was the possibility of Dahmer style activity. Mark, what's up, man? See, I saw 3 of your lives today. I caught 2 on replay and 1 live. Hey, Jade Hunter. Hello, hello. So nice to see you guys. Thank you guys for coming in. So I don't know if you saw towards the end of Shan's live just now, I typed something in there about the Donner Party. So when this case first started, I didn't think that my having visited Tahoe a handful of times had any relevancy. I didn't think that what little knowledge I had of the culture there had any relevancy. And I shared it anyway. And then quickly I realized that it did come into play. So this is where it is relevant and where it comes into play, in my opinion. So see my dog yoga, downward dog, upward dog. Yes. Where the Donner Party comes into play. So the times that I visited there, and I haven't been there since the 90s, we had a free place to stay right on Donner Lake, and it was magnificent. And it's still a super expensive place to hang out. Gas is expensive, food is expensive, ski lifts are the lift tickets are super expensive, and then you have to have your skis and your equipment, whether you purchase or rent. It's all extremely spendy. So we were very fortunate to have a free place to stay, because that's going to be one of your steeper items on your ticket, right? And I think I've told you guys a number of times, from the home that we were able to lodge at, it was right on Donner Lake, and it looked directly across the lake to the railroad tunnel. And it's really weird. Like, that railroad goes nowhere. It's just like a turnaround, and it's really kind of creepy. And that's also near where the Donner tragedy happened. And when you're in the town of Truckee, my experience was, every time I went into a restaurant or a grocery store or anywhere, it's a really small town, and people are talkative, and they see that you're a tourist. They don't recognize you. And they are like, hey, what do you think of our town? What do you think of the Donner Party? Pretty cool, huh? Like, I didn't think that much of it. Like, I was kind of taken aback, but I thought, that's really odd that it's kind of celebrated there, when it's so cringeworthy, right? The whole thing is so cringeworthy. I mean, it was such a catastrophe of epic proportion on so many levels, starting with really poor planning. Okay. So starting with really bad leadership, really poor planning, a natural disaster, and then a whole lot of crazy. And what ended up happening, I'm just going off the top of my head here, was 80 some people had to stay up on top of that mountain ridge in the snow for roughly 3 months, and only about half of them survived. And they lived off of the ones that didn't survive. And the stories that were told were creepier than imaginable. And at first, the survivors didn't really tell the stories, but the scene told the story. I mean, it's white snow, and these 80 people that dwindled down to 40 roughly were living there on that snow-covered mountain for those 3 months. I can only imagine how disgusting everything was, and how crazy the looks in people's eyes were. So that's what people really focus on, is the crazy, because it didn't have to be the way it was. I mean, there could have been better leadership. There could have been better planning. There could have been, not the biggest snowstorm of 50 years. But even with all of those elements, it was still just like, as people were not surviving, there was plotting going on. So if people weren't not surviving quickly enough, it was taken care of, so that the group was selecting certain individuals that could be next if necessary, right? So, I mean, it's like the game of Survivor on steroids. It really is. But what's so appalling about it is it's considered one of the biggest humanitarian tragedies in the existence of humanity as we know it. And yet, the community of Truckee, the culture there is to laugh about it and to celebrate it. And we know that there's this whole cult Titanic thing going on up there. And I know that the elite want to be involved in that sort of activity because it makes them feel extra powerful and extra special because it's so taboo. And then there's the whole thing with adrenochrome, which is another completely crazy rabbit hole to dive into on another day. But the cannibalism, I guess I can just say the word, is so hideous. And what I typed into Shan's chat, because I never thought this thought until in her live, that maybe there was, there's been talk at other points in time of maybe there was something like that going on with the Kiely Rodney party. Remember, they call it the Kiely Rodney party. So with her being in the water there, people were drinking her DNA. I mean, that's gross, right? But with Scammy talking about sharing the drinks and basically trying to explain why her DNA would be all over Kiely and Kylie's DNA all over her, it never occurred to me that there could have been, and I'm just going to come straight out and say it, a cannibalistic element to that. Okay. So I thought of it and I typed it into the chat and I was just like, oh man, I hope this is just crazy talk. I hope that it is just wild speculation and nothing other than that. But it's really important to know the culture of these places. And somebody in the chat was saying something about how is that relevant? And I have seen through the year and a half passing of Kiely Rodney's case not being solved, in my opinion, that dog eat dog mentality is extremely relevant, extremely relevant. I don't know that how relevant that whole Donner Party story is, but it's a really creepy place up there on the ridge. People don't want to live up there. There's not a lot of houses up there, but there's the lodge, the Lost Trail Lodge. There's the Hamburglers. They live up there. There are other houses. It's not like those are the only two houses, but it's not where people want to live. People want to live on the lakes, not up on the ridge where the cannibalism happened. And they do live up there, right? So they're kind of, if they're not celebrating it, they're at least like neutralizing it at the very least. But I think with the whole Titanic cult activity, it's important to recognize the full scope of the possibilities. And hopefully it's just outside possibilities and not what's going on. But like I said, I'm just explaining why, how things were firing in my brain and why I was thinking that with Scammy emphasizing and underscoring time and time again how everything that she drank out of, Kiely drank out of, and everything that Kiely drank out of, she drank out of. And then, all the going back and forth to the car. There's been many times where I thought, okay, well, she's simply trying to tell a story to explain away her DNA all over Kiely, all over Kylie's belt, all over Kylie's person, all over Kylie's steering wheel and gear shift. And I've thought a lot the last few months that it's highly likely that Scammy is the one that drove Kylie's car out there to the party and that she drove herself home. And again, that the stories of them going into the car and hanging out and plugging their phones in and all of that could be for her to try to explain away how her DNA is all over everything, right? Let me see what you guys are saying. Hey, dudes and dudettes. Let's see. The dinner party. Yes, Jade Hunter. So scary. Downplay for tourism. But they don't. They don't downplay it. That's what's so insane. Um, they have the Donner Memorial Park right at the base of the mountain where Cold Stream Road starts. Cold Creek Road. I think it's Cold Stream Road. The road that the lodge is on goes literally right by the Donner Memorial Park. And then my brain always jumps straight to like the Donner picnic area, right? The Donner party picnic area. I mean, come on. So yeah, they capitalize on it, Ranch Boss. Exactly. I mean, and that's what they're doing with everything. I mean, it's all about the money everywhere. And California is extremely expensive. The Tahoe area is probably one of the most expensive parts of California, probably even more expensive than San Francisco, in my memory, in my recollection, because we were living right in the city and things were expensive there. But I noticed a marked difference at everything, like gas, food, whether it's groceries or restaurants, that everything was more expensive there in Tahoe. Like money is just like monopoly money when you're there, kind of like Disneyland or Hawaii. Really, it's just it's out of control. So yeah, crazy plus crazy. There's a lot of Native American influence up there, as well as other stories of Native American curses. Wow, I could totally see that, the curses, and maybe that even goes back to the Donner Party, right? Is that what you're saying, Jade Hunter? True, could be. And how sick, why not talking? And I wonder how AWP really got involved if one PI got Jared on the phone. Lake Tahoe side is my side. Right, that's the side where the state of Iowa is on. The other side, Lake Tahoe side, is my side. Um, yeah. Anyway, what else do I want to say about that? Um, I wanted to say that, we often talk about how wealthy the area is and how wealthy, just the status of wealth there in Tahoe, and how Kiely Rodney's family was not so high on that status spectrum. But I beg to differ with her grandfather's water rights. Those who control the water control everything. And the the growth aspect of cannabis up there is huge, always has been, always has been. You know how it's referred to as the green triangle, due to the green and due to people disappearing suspiciously. So, I mean, this goes way back decades and decades. But getting back to the aspect of money, that even though Kiely Rodney's immediate family, her mother and her stepdad, that maybe they weren't so wealthy, but her granddad, I think, essentially is wealthy, and that she was set to inherit that. Plus, she had the immeasurable richness of her talent and of her skills. And I just can't I just can't express how profound I think that her talent would have been on our entire culture of music. What an impact she could have had she not come to her end at such a young age. She very well could have been another Taylor Swift. I mean, can't you guys see it? Can't you see it? 16 years old. So Shan was saying that she dropped that Far Away song on Spotify a year to her passing, a year prior to her passing, meaning that she recorded it when she was 15, meaning that she could have written it before that. And she could have recorded it before that too. So she might have been 14, no more than 15 years old when she wrote and recorded that. That's remarkable. Like that's like a prodigy. That's Fiona Apple. That's Nora Jones. That's Jewel. That's Ricky Lee Jones. Joni Mitchell didn't get started until she was in her 20s. But anyway, these other musicians did. They wrote some of their best material when they were teenagers with their teenage angst. And, you know, you're always going to get your best songs out of heartbreak, right? Isn't that what Sting would say? He'd have to get himself into some really unhealthy relationship so he could get some good material going. Excuse me while I fix my hair. It's so funny how your hair just like settles and then you see it in the screen and you're like, oh no. I do have a hat handy. Maybe I should put it on. Hat, no hat. Here, I'll just go ahead and put it on. It's a cute hat. It's the Game of Thrones one, but I don't know if I can do it with my bun in the back. Maybe if I take my clip out. Let's see. Okay, there we go. And now my watch has ended. There we go. Problem solved. Huh. Every time you come on. And then there's like such a glow. Look at that. I was like getting totally flooded by the light, blinded by the light. Okay, enough about the lights and the hair and the action. Let's get back down to business. True could be, and how sick, why not talking? And I wonder how AWP really got involved. Oh, I already read that one. I just hadn't highlighted it. After a few decades, the ice manufacturing. Oh yeah, you guys, the ice across the country used to all come from Tahoe back in the old days of ice boxes. It all came from the Sierra Nevadas. Did you know that? Seriously, across the country. That's wild. After a few decades, the ice manufacturing got established, and with that came organizations. Time went on. Fears of mob and organized crime brought Freemasons and BPOA. I'm not sure what those letters are, but also Frank Sinatra built Reno. I mean, not with his bare hands, but you know, the Rat Pack had a lot to do with Reno, and they were very involved in the gangsta scene in Vegas. So they made their own like miniature Vegas right there in the Sierra Nevadas. The native put a curse. I'll Google it and email it. Oh, very cool, Jade Hunter. Reminds me of like the curse, the Hawaii idol in the Brady Bunch. Sorry, it just does. It reminds me of that. You know, because in the Hawaiian Islands there are definitely curses, and that Brady Bunch episode had just embodied it very well. If you remember the Brady Bunch, where they get the Hawaiian idol and the bad luck, and then they rectify it. I can see it. I just got chills. Jade Hunter says, great talent. Is it just me or is Jazz crackling? Oh no, I'm not crackling, I don't think, but yeah, I might be. I know Shan was buffering really bad at the end. Like I thought that she ended her video before she actually ended it. I logged off and then it came back on. She hadn't even ended it yet, but it was buffering like crazy at the end. The ambiance is soothing. Well, I'm glad. Yes, water is going to be the most important asset, in my opinion, for the future. More than underground mineral rights, water rights will come to the forefront if I could predict the future. So my point about Kiely's music and her granddad's business savvy is that she was a very well off young I almost said young woman. I just don't like calling her a young woman because people want to say that she was a young adult, and she was becoming a young woman. She was almost 17. And she was very well off. I know if you Googled her, there were still sites that would say that she was worth like 400,000 net worth, which I don't know what these sites were or how they came up with that. That's like just internet garb. But I do think that there's a lot to be said for her connection with her grandfather, and that he may have been leaving the lodge to her. He may have been leaving some of his water rights to her. And of course, the musical talent that she had, and then she connected with all of these famous musicians growing up through the lodge and through her grandfather's connections. So, let's see. Why was the lodge up for sale and now it's not? Did ownership change? Was Kiely going to get it? Exactly. And mom was going to sell first. Grandpa keeping secrets. It's so weird, isn't it? It's so hard to tell what's going on with the dad and the grandpa. It seems like it's one of those situations where they just can't talk, that there's too much at stake. Yeah. I feel so frustrated with the case. I'm sure that you guys do as well, that here we are a year and a half down the road, and in a sense, we have no idea what happened. At the same time, I think that we all have a fairly clear picture of what we believe may have happened. I know our theories change over time. And where's the justice for Kiely? Why isn't her family fighting for justice? Why? My GMA called BPOA, Biggest Pricks of America. I'm not sure what these things are, Jade Hunter, GMA and BPOA. Am I supposed to know these? Like union type organizations of long ago. Okay. Hey, mom, first always. What's up? Late was grubbin'. Oh, hey, Shan. You're cool. I just thought I'd come on while you were taking a quick break. So, and, I wanted to kind of, I don't know if it upset you. I wanted to apologize for mentioning cannibalism in your chat, but I don't know that it upset you. It's an upsetting thing. And so I've been talking about that. Is she freezing up or is it me? Oh no. See, it's because we're talking about Kiely and talking about this crazy stuff that we don't normally get to it, right? I mean, once in a while that comes up, but we don't like to hit on that for sure. Fine here on this side. Good to know, mom first. Growth in thought and logic is important. Right. And, I had some new thoughts while I was watching your live. And for that, I thank you. And I want to mention too, how it feels like there's a lot of traction with Kiely's case and with the Squirrel Squad. And sometimes it feels like a lot to keep up with, but I want to keep the momentum because I'm just so thrilled that we have this momentum, you guys. Like, I could not have foreseen this a year ago, that we would still be running with it the way we are. And I think it's fantastic. I think the more that we talk about it, the more we're going to have these new thoughts and maybe get somewhere. I mean, at least give it the good old college try, right? No fight. Amen. Why? My kids are banging around. I don't know if you can hear that. They're always trying to break the house in half. Oh, Ranch Boss, you lost me? And Jade, what the what? No freeze for me, just snap, crackle, pop. Good here. Hey, hey, hey. Mark, one of your drops was info on the lodge. Wasn't the name Kathleen Robinson attached to it? Isn't Kathleen Robinson Lindsay's biological mother? So, um, yeah, I think, and she's the one that worked for Child Protective Services. Is that right? Do you guys know? Shan's got to know, right? Back in, yes, Sandra, I think so. The trust. Okay, so um, I wanted to talk about some of the difficult things. That's why I came on here. Where are we at? We're already at half an hour. So the trafficking, okay, the human trafficking. Um, we don't know that that had any bearing in Kiely's case. That was something that was talked about a lot in the beginning, and it could have bearing in her case. And I think it's important to talk about because it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere. It happens right under our noses, and it's camouflage right into the fabric of everyday life. Um, but how does that tie in with the Handmaid's Tale? Because we know that Lindsay's Facebook page, when all of this started, she had like a Handmaid's Tale kind of profile picture, right? And then she changed it. So when people take things down, it might be that they just decided to take it down. They just decided to have a new profile picture. But it could be because of the high profile situation with her daughter that she didn't want to be putting that information out there. I mean, the whole point of the Handmaid's Tale was really about, sort of, in my opinion, from my perspective, it was like the trafficking of the handmaids, that those women were a commodity that were literally sexually assaulted by the husbands with the help of the wives. They would become impregnated. They would give birth to the babies that then um, the owner, I mean, they're essentially the slaves, that the well-to-do couple would then have that child from the handmaid, right? So wanting to get the good genetics, wanting to kind of get what they call designer babies. I think that that's been a question with Kiely Rodney's case. There's been interesting photographs of her with uh, little girls younger than her and women older than her that all looked a lot like her. And that could just be coincidence, or there could be something more to it. I'm, yeah. Sometimes I don't like to say these things straight out, and other times I don't want to beat around the bush. Like, yeah, I'm talking about cloning. So the trafficking and human trafficking and cloning. One of the things in human trafficking that we never talk about is the reproductive part of it. And in this day and age, there's a lot of trafficking with organs, with hearts and kidneys and um, eyeballs and skin, and I mean, it's freaking disgusting. But there's also trafficking with the zygotes, with the reproductive elements, and it comes up a lot in the Idaho 4 case, and I've seen threads of it in Kiely's case. And so I'm just trying to hit on all the really difficult stuff. Since I was just coming on for a short one, I thought I would just like give it a good punch and okay, we're done now, right? Yikes. Let's see. Hey, seeing red flags, what's up? Loved how well THT was put together, but wouldn't go sporting that icon unless it's a cry for help or just doesn't need to be read into. Could be looked through many scopes. THT. Man, why am I drawing a blank on all of these initials, you guys? Like, just can we spell things out? Loved how well THT was put together, but wouldn't go sporting that icon unless it's a cry for help or just doesn't need to be read into. Could be looked through many scopes. Maybe I know what LRN is. That's Lindsay Rodney Neiman. I've got that on the top of my brain. Is a product of that from Daddy? That we also don't know. Ugh. Well, squirrels, you are always ahead of however radical I think I'm being. You're like steps ahead of me always. So for that, I thank you. All right, cool. Let's see. Nothing is off the table of suspicious. And seeing red flags agrees with you on that, squirrels. It's a great phrase, Mark. Good. Oh, truth and transparency? Maybe. Yeah, that could be. And yes, good to see all of you. So another thing that I was talking about in Shan's chat was motive. That I've always thought that jealousy could have been a motive for Scammy. And Divine Justice, aka Mrs. G, said, motive's not necessary. Of course, in a trial, motive is not necessary. Police don't need to come up with motive in most states, not all. But it's important, even if you're in a state where you don't have to have motive, it's still important to have it to try to convince a jury. And I think that something could have happened that night. Something could have happened real recently with Scammy feeling slighted by Jägermaestro and by the Hamburglar kid. And she just couldn't take it. And I don't think she snapped. I think that it was planned, whatever it was. Whatever gruesome, grotesque thing that was done to Kiely that the kids saw, that the law enforcement was really concerned that they needed therapy on the spot because it was so gruesome. It was so grotesque. The word they used was grotesque, Sam Brown, right? But one of the things I wanted to say about trying to make sense of what happened and trying to figure out what happened is that whatever happened is completely insane. It's completely crazy, just like the Donner Party mishap. It's kind of a gross underestimation calling it a mishap, but you know what I mean. But you're never going to make sense of crazy is what I'm trying to get at. That we try to make sense of things, but when you're dealing with psychopaths, you're dealing with crazy, and it's never going to make sense. It's like hitting your head against a brick wall. So that's what I learned in real life with my own parent, of course. But what else do I want to say before we wrap up? I have a feeling something's going to happen with the Suzanne Morphew case, you guys. I have a feeling that's simmering. That's afoot. I hope. Oh, The Handmaid's Tale. That's what the initials HT. Where was that? The Handmaid's Tale. Thank you. Yeah, I've never seen it abbreviated. I read the book and I saw the movie. I don't remember the movie so well as I remember the book. But yeah, it's also weird that that book was brought up in the Idaho 4 case, right? With the alleged photographs of the criminal defendant at a book signing event with Margaret Atwood. I still don't believe that those pictures are authentic. And even if they are, why are those the only pictures of the criminal defendant's entire life story that have surfaced? Like, give me a break. It's just freakishly weird. But again, that whole theme, that whole story of trafficking body parts and trafficking zygotes. And um, there's been, I think, a lot of evidence in the Idaho 4 case, way more so than in Kiely's case, that that kind of thing is a distinct possibility, especially with the type of medical research that they do right there at the University of Idaho, and with cloning and with infertility. So let's see. Seeing Red Flag says, I agree. I think it was planned. Yeah, I mean, they needed to get Kiely there. Trust no one, money or revenge or jealousy, but why the silence? Why the no one needs to be punished? Let's move on and keep it in the circle. Right. Even Lindsay said, you know, well, Kylie's gone. Why should we ruin any of these teenagers' lives? Like, seriously? If they did something, they ruined their own life. And she might be gone, but she's not forgotten. And there needs to be justice for her little brother, if no one else. I mean, for humanity, of course, but especially for the well-being of her little brother. How on earth is he ever going to have any sanity in his life if this is how it's left? I'm not taking it. I am not taking that for an answer. Um, and yeah, people do need to be punished. And it's no one's fault but their own if they put themselves in that predicament that they harmed Kiely. They need to be held accountable. They need to have their feet held to the fire in court, in my opinion. It had to be planned, too many parts, and cover up logic doesn't apply totally. You either have to stash a car, put it in the water to go home, or have a ride home with someone. Yep. Yep. Yeah. I still think the car was put in the water just a couple of days before it was found. I don't think I'm not familiar with that case. Are you talking about Idaho 4? Right, Mark? That's why I have too much dancing around in this case. That's why I say too much dancing around in this case. Well, I think it's just really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable to talk about these really sickening things, to talk about the Titanic cult stuff that seems abundantly clear to be symbolized at the quote unquote celebration of life with those big purple flags with the black spray paint. I don't care what anyone says. You do not use a can of black spray paint on purple cloth to make a decoration for your freaking kid's funeral. You don't use spray paint. I mean, I know there's graffiti art, and I think that that's respectable, but that wasn't graffiti art. That was like morbid, very much consistent with what I've seen of satanic stuff. I do need to wrap up. My battery is low, and I don't think I have. Oh, I do have my plug in here. Let me go ahead and plug it in just so it doesn't cut off right away. Oh, there's always something, and there's always a ton of things. Let's see. And now I'm realizing that I had my mic handy, ready to go, and I never plugged it in. And I'm afraid to plug it in because the sound is going to be so much better. But let's just go ahead and do it for a science experiment. the sound is probably worlds better, right? But maybe not. Maybe it doesn't make that big of a difference. It's good when the dog's not laying on it, right? That was funny AF, you guys. And funny that you knew. I'm like, are these people psychic? How do they know the dog's laying on my mic? I don't even know the dog's laying on my mic, and I'm right here. So let's wrap it up so that Shan can get back on, and let's just see what else you guys have to say. I might have something else in my notes that I need to share. Okay, I missed a whole bunch, you guys. Let's see. I got to speed read all this because it looks like a lot of good stuff. Shan, your brain is too fast. Saw the movie, horribly photoshopped. What's interesting about the movie, The Handmaid's Tale, wasn't Natasha Richardson in it? And didn't she die skiing at Tahoe? Weird. No such thing as coincidence. I don't know if it was Natasha Richardson that was in that movie or if I'm getting my wires crossed. And I also don't know if she died skiing at Tahoe or skiing somewhere else. But we can all fact check, right? Google will tell us. Sometimes we can trust Google. Horribly photoshopped. Some rando. Are you talking about the photographs of Koberger with Margaret Atwood? Because I think that they are completely photoshopped and not well done. But it seems like everybody wants to say that those photographs are real. And I'm just like I said, even if they are, it's still highly suspicious that those photographs surfaced and none of the rest of the photographs of him from the rest of his life. Look at my shoulders. What is going on? Like all sideways. Oh my goodness. I better just hop off of here. This is too much. Just one thing after another. And if I try to like fix it, it's like what hump? Because it's the wrong side. So if I'm going to try to even it out, oh my God, that's too funny. 2024, 2028 are the years of awareness and truth. I read the book. It's disturbing. It was extremely disturbing. We are hoping Shan, wake, silence, stop suspects. So Shan sent me a text that, Hustle Bitch dropped a new one, you guys. I'm going to put the link to Hustle Bitch in my description. It's just a short, like 3-minute video, but it has a punch and hopefully he's back on. Yeah. He says that he was highly and severely intimidated. And that's why he hadn't made a video in so long. I can only imagine. Same thing with Brush Junkie. She keeps dropping very informative videos and I can't imagine that she's not getting some heat as well. She said some nice things about Chief Pelletier in one of the videos she dropped today. And I thought, okay. It's good to say something nice. I try not to read disturbing books. I know. I don't know why. I mean, I was already a Margaret Atwood fan and kind of all of her books are disturbing, but that was the most disturbing. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Good evening, warriors. I hope you jazz. Get it, girl. The Handmaid's Tale is a creepy reality. How there were no tears with precious Kiely. Yeah. Oh, I know. I mean, we've all cried for her, for crying out loud. No other case. Susan Moore. Even if you put it in later, you need another car or ride. Well, she's got all those boys. She's got that harem of boys that, again, in Shan's chat, I called them her flying monkeys, right? Yeah, Susan Morphew. Okay, thank you, C and Red Flags and some rando. Did I not finish saying her last name? Did I say Susan Moore? It wouldn't surprise me. Sometimes when I'm reviewing my videos, I'm like, what? And I'm trying to wrap this up so that we can all get back to Squirrels on Fire. Only if Squirrels on Fire wants to go on. I, of course, don't want to put any pressure on her. I think she puts enough pressure on herself. So did the doggy get to it? We can't hear you. Oh, you stop it, Mark. Okay, his tiny head and big jacket, totally, 100%. Yeah, and it's like this. His head is like too low in the jacket, and then yeah, it's just weird. AF. I mean, come on. And like I said, even if it was a real photograph of a real incident, a real event, where's all the other photographs of all the other events that he's had in his lifetime? I mean, come on. It's just propaganda. Yeah, it is ridiculous. Exactly. It's ridiculous propaganda. I don't get to participate in lives. I usually only get to listen while I'm working. Thank you for including me. Oh, seeing red flags, you're awesome. It's nice seeing you out in the chats these days. So yeah, let's get to the wrapping up part. We're already approaching an hour, and I was trying to do a short one. It's always hard to keep them under an hour, but let's try. To you and yours, thanks for the live. Glad you're here, seeing red flags, Miss G, and all you guys and gals. Yes, I've cried 18 months praying for the truth to come out. Yeah, I love listening to her sing. I love listening to Far Away. I love listening to that fiddler song. The first time I saw her with that fiddler song when she was a tiny kid, I totally cried. Yeah, come on in. Hey, I'm on live. What's up? I just want to tell you that I'm home. Okay, well, you come over and be on my live. Everyone wants to know what you look like. Okay, I'll be done in a second. Okay. Oh, don't you love when real life collides with your YouTube channel? Oh, my 16-year-old. I think he wants to come on. That's why I invited him. I mean, I don't really think that'd be the best idea, but you know, it's okay. Since his dad's a cop and all, right? Sorry, I just had to say it. Okay. Oh, we got more Sir Bomb to go through, man. And that guy rocks. I love his stuff. He's just right on the money. He is completely down to earth. He's completely true and accurate. He did get a couple of facts mistaken, like Nate Cabacunia and the other Nate. So he was thinking that the Nate that Scammy was dating was the one that got arrested and drugged that girl, Angel, the 15-year-old from the other side of Placer County. I'm forgetting the name of the town. That was so sad. But yeah. So, I mean, we all get our wires crossed sometimes. But yeah, the bum is awesome. And he's funny as heck. You know, oh, we're dumpster diving today. I think he's really funny. And that's always important. Speaking of funny, you guys, I got to plug Larissa Slaughter. She did a comedy skit today. You have got to check it out. I will put a link in the description. I think it's about 5 or 6 minutes. That girl is funny AF. Gotta give it up for Larissa. Okay, you guys, have a great night, everyone. Thanks, Jazz and friends. Thank you for everything, everyone. It's lovely to see you. And let's see. What else? Is there anything else that I had written down that I really wanted to share? I think I got it all. That's amazing. I almost always find something that I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I looked. Okay, there is one little thing. I wasn't even going to mention it, but since I saw the note, I watched a video today. I'll put the link in the description so that you guys know what I'm talking about. It's a channel that I'm brand new to, completely not familiar with. It's some lawyer channel, and he had a couple of guests, and it was a good show. And they were talking, this forensic person was saying that it was her opinion that the other BK was involved, that there were two BKs that committed the Idaho 4 and I was kind of mind blown. I know that that theory has been out there. I don't agree with that theory at all. I don't think that the deceased BK had anything to do with it. But I do think that when a Purple Heart Army vet is killed by SWAT, that there would be a thorough investigation of that. So I can't remember what channel somebody brought that up the other day. Oh, it was on Mama D's 1111 Tarot. I'm so glad I remembered. It was somebody in her chat who brought that up, that yes, there should be a thorough investigation by the military. Shouldn't there be? Like, I've always wondered, where's the outrage from the Veterans Association support group types of things? But yeah, where's the formal investigation by the military, you guys? What hump? So it's just so funny. I think my computer is slightly crooked. Really, I don't have a hump. It's the computer. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up now. Hit that like button, please do. I'll show the creepy thumb one last time. And make sure you're still subscribed. I am monetized, I'm pretty sure. So I apologize if we're getting interrupted with ads on the replay crew. But thanks so much, you guys. And I am under an hour, so I'm going to end the stream. And maybe I'll see you over in Squirrels on Fire chat. Thanks so much for joining me. Sending you guys light.